Hello, it's Jim for the Monopoly Project. Here we're on Val Vista Lakes. We're doing our monthly floating book reviews. Today we're looking at books that we read in, September. It is now October. And so we just had a thunderstorm. You can hear it rolling through now. It just came through and dumped all this water. And so we're on the lake. We might get some more rain. But anyway, it's Jim from the Monopoly Project. This is the Monopoly Project yacht. Of course, every successful real estate mogul has a yacht, and this is the Monopoly Project yacht. Unfortunately, it's the Bikini Girls' day off, so you just have me. But here we're here today to review 4 books. Let's see, we got 2 about real estate, one about fictional on our Navy series from the English, the Napoleonic Wars, and finally another one, science fiction one. So let's get to the books, and we'll see you when we get back. Okay, Jim from the Monopoly Project. We're on Val Vista Lakes on a stormy night. We're going through the books we read in September, 4 books on our floating book review. You can see this is our 4th one here, Next Level Real Estate Asset Protection by Clint Coons. I got this book because we're in a deal in Bakersfield for an assisted living facility with our soon-to-be son-in-law Jonathan as our partner. He's got experience in it. We have money, so we're going to close in less than 2 weeks. And so one of the things John was looking at was asset protection in general, and he'd signed up with this company that gives advice for certain fees. And this book is actually from one of those people in that company, and it is not the one that John talked to. He talked to another one of the principals. But in any case, Clint Coons goes through asset protection strategies, primarily from, he doesn't start from first principles, and maybe this is one of my criticisms of the book, is he doesn't start from first principles of how do you do asset protection. And of course, the first thing in asset protection is you don't do illegal stuff. If you do illegal stuff, it doesn't matter what kind of legal entities you set up or whatever, criminal activity will overrule any asset protection scheme. So criminal activity, obviously criminal illegal stuff, but even civil illegal stuff like, cheating on taxes, which of course all of those, if he goes far enough, can become criminal. But even civil illegal stuff will strip you of all those protections. And in our experience, Michelle and I, we've always gone the next step and say we don't do any unethical things. Even though they're not illegal, you don't want to do that. You want to treat everybody fairly. And so, that's the basis of asset protection. Not to say that doing that will protect you, because there's a lot of unscrupulous people on the other side who just see a rich, juicy monetary target and would do whatever they take to get it. So that's not absolute protection. But again, when we talk about asset protection, the first thing is don't do anything illegal, don't do anything unethical, treat everybody fairly, address everybody's concerns so that you don't have somebody who's aggrieved with you. And so he doesn't go through that. And then the second basics of asset protection is you need to follow, besides not doing criminal stuff, you need to follow all the laws and formalities. Like when you set up an LLC, it has to be set up correctly. You have to deed the property into it, all those kind of things. So you need to follow all the structures. If you don't do that, again, your asset protection strategy, no matter how elaborate and how many layers it has, it's not going to work. And so the book itself, he talks mostly about using LLCs and various land trusts and this and that to, one, achieve asset protection through anonymity, people not being able to discuss your assets, find your assets, searching for them and not finding them. And also, once, of course, the key principle of asset protection is putting your assets in different entities. So if someone successfully sues one entity, they can only get the assets within that, because that's why an LLC is called an LLC, because it's a limited liability company. It's only limited to what's in that Of course, that also applies for a C corporation or any legal entity. You can see the breeze is really picking up now, so I'm going to head home before I get caught out here. But in any case, so he goes through a lot of examples of that. I'm not a real big fan. I mean, the book, for what it is, talking about those there's nothing wrong. There's no incorrect information in it. But like I said, I don't think it gives you a big picture view of asset protection. So I would definitely, if you're interested in asset protection, there's some really good websites that go through everything from the basics on. The other thing that I found interesting was that never in the book once does he mention the words fraudulent conveyance. And of course, fraudulent conveyance is a legal term that means you can't hide assets or you can't hide money to keep it away from a legal creditor. And the interesting thing, of course, about fraudulent conveyance is that if I do something wrong and I try and hide my assets next week to prevent somebody getting a judgment or paying the judgment against me, then that doesn't count. That hiding of that money is a fraudulent conveyance, and you got to give it. The judge can order it taken back from whoever you gave it to, however you did it, and it turns out for a fraudulent conveyance, it actually goes in the past. Up to 2 years in the past, they can seize stuff that you transferred, even if you didn't know about what was going to happen. So when you talk about asset protection, you got to be very careful. And like I said, he doesn't mention the term at all. And I did do a search to refresh my mind on what the particulars of fraudulent conveyance were. And when I did that, I didn't mention his name or book or anything, but I did find one column in which he discusses fraudulent conveyance. So I'm not saying that he is that he's unaware of it. Obviously, he's aware of it if he's in the asset protection business. But I think the book would have helped having an introduction that talked about the basics of the basics of asset protection. That is, don't do illegal, unethical stuff. Follow all the legal rules. Cross your T's, dot your I's, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, on the other side is don't do fraudulent conveyance because it's not going to work. And in effect, it's going to prove that you set up these entities solely for the purpose of defrauding your creditors. So anyway, so like I said, the book is Next Level Asset Protection by Clint Coons. Like I said, I don't recommend it unless you're into this very narrow subject that he's talking about. If you want to look at asset protection, there's a couple of really good websites that go through it in detail. And the one that I had looked at extensively slips my mind, but when I write up the write-up of this floating book review, I will look it up and put a link into it, because it basically starts at the beginning and end, what works and what doesn't work. And anyway, that does remind me of the one other thing about asset protection is two other things about asset protection. One, no asset protection strategy is perfect. If you do something wrong, you're probably going to get caught. Even if you're righteous and good all the time, you're probably going to lose some cases. So it's a probabilistic thing. It's not a absolute strategy to protect you. And so you got to be careful of that. And the other thing that, the discussion that Jonathan and I got into about it is asset protection, especially using strategies of anonymity, of hiding, doesn't work for a lot of businesses, because a lot of businesses, you need to be upfront as the owner and operator. There's no hiding out. Some of the passive real estate activities that we engage in, you can remain anonymous, virtually anonymous. But in general, if you're doing business, you want to develop a brand, and so an asset protection strategy that attempts to use anonymity as a technique is just not going to work. In fact, it's counterproductive. And in fact, that's one of the points he makes in the book, why he wrote the book. He said that he previously only looked at asset protection and he didn't look at the business aspects of it. And he's talking about dealing with banks, where you got to show them you have the money to buy something and the income to pay it back. So in any case, asset protection is an interesting subject. So I will leave you with that because I'm just about to hit the dock and the wind's blowing me backwards. Anyway, Jim for the Monopoly Project, thank you. You saw all our lightning there. It's time to get out of here. Thank you, and Jim for the Monopoly Project. Bye.